On the wrong track. 1,000 trains cancelled a day as Britain's railways crumble. We're going to read into this exclusive from iNews, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from iNews with the headline of On the Wrong Track. 1,000 trains cancelled a day as Britain's railways crumble. Rail passengers are expected to pay more for less, passengers say, as the figures show performances keep declining. Guys, while you're here, before I give my initial thoughts, if you can, please hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Yeah, I remember when I travel some every now and then, every couple of weekends I travel up from where I live up to where some of my family live, and it normally costs with our two together rail card, because I sometimes go with my partner, because I go mainly with my partner. Kind of used to cost us around about I won't say where it's to and from, but it cost us £28, something like that. And then when the rail fares went up a few weeks ago, it's now costing over £30. In comparison to some of the rail fares that some of you guys have shared in the comments, as well as what I've seen in Europe and in other places, it really is quite disgusting, to say the least, the prices of rail fares. But I think on top of that, which is even just to add to the infuriation of it, their headline itself about 1,000 trains cancelled a day. Now that number may be a bit exaggerated, possibly. I maybe, and I'm going to say maybe, and the reason why I say maybe is because obviously I can't speak for the North. So you guys who are listening and watching, you guys can speak to yourselves in your areas what the trains are like in your areas. But there is absolutely no question that trains have been let down. Train companies have continuously let us down. These private companies who make records amounts, make tons and tons of money, and while they do invest some of that money back into the rail service, it's just not enough. And one of the things that some of these companies have done is that they have reduced the amount of trains that they run to basically. So that they try to run the most minimum of services to try and get away with it, and I just don't understand why we are paying so much freaking money on these rail services. I just don't get it. And some of these, it's even in some cases, it's actually cheaper to fly from like London to. It probably is cheaper to fly from London to Manchester than it is to get a train from Paddington all the way up to Manchester, for example. It probably is. And and we want to reduce emissions, don't we not, here in the country? I would have thought everyone wants to reduce emissions in the country. Keeping our so-called carbon footprint down. Well, if you run more trains, if we actually carried on with high-speed rail too, it means we wouldn't need so many flights, which means that people were able to get to A to B a lot quicker. It's high time that the rail companies, that our train operations are put back into the state's hands, because it is clear that private companies are failing us. They're failing us everywhere. They're failing to uphold running a decent service. There are one or two services who are doing okay, but there are some who are absolutely abysmal. And especially for those of you up in the north, I hear it all the time about how god awful your rail services are, how you need to rely on that rail service to get to your job, and it just doesn't run, and it's just absolutely tearing your hair out. Some of you probably end up having no hair because of these pathetic train companies and the way that they are handling it, and just people just being forced to stuck, and we're in a cost of living crisis right now. We are all struggling. People are struggling to pay their bills and whatnot, and these things with the rail industry, they keep bloody happening, and that's the thing that really angers me. And it's like the government are going to get on top of it, And they don't get on top of it. They don't. They're happy with it being in the hands of private. And I'm not. Like, it's high time the government gets a grip on the rail industry. Yes, they need to get a grip on many things, but we're obviously talking about the railway specifically here. You know, people need to be able to get to A to B without pulling out their entire savings to get from A to B, because some of these season tickets are outrageous. Outrageous. How are you supposed to improve or so-called grow an economy when train fares cost so much money? The only people who are benefiting are shareholders and executives, making big fat cash payouts for themselves, aren't they, at the expense of us as well? It's sad, it's pathetic, and it's high time we put them back in state control. Britain's rail crisis is getting worse, with more than 1,000 train cancellations a day amid growing fears over crumbling infrastructure and ageing carriages, the eye can reveal. Latest Office of Rail and Road Data Analysis by the eye showed in the 12 weeks between 12th of November 2023 and the 3rd of February 2024, an average of 1,062 trains a day were cancelled in England and Wales. This is England and Wales. And that's just over 1,000 they're reporting here. There has been a sharp increase in train cancellations in recent weeks, with the figures representing a 54% rise on the rest of the 2023-2024, when 690 trains a day were cancelled between the 1st of April and the 11th of November last year. The four worst performing operators, Adani, Northern, Crossrail and TransPennine Express, were responsible for 255 cancellations a day, up 31% on the 194 services axed daily in 2023-2024. So this is the source from the Office of Road and Rail here. You can see these are the four private companies here. Adani, average daily cancellations 13. That's between the 1st of April 2023 and 11th of November 2023. Average daily cancellations in 12th of November 2023 to the 3rd of February 2024, 31 there. TransPennine, the 1st of April 2023 to the 11th of November 2023, the average daily cancellations 19. 12th of November 2023 to the 3rd of February 2024, average daily cancellations 20. These are daily. These are happening daily. Why is this happening daily? How is this consistently happening every day? It just blows my mind. It really, really does. Cross County here, 1st of April to the 11th of November 2023. Average daily cancellations 22. 12th of November 2023, the 3rd of February 2024. Average daily cancellations 34. Northern, what on earth is these numbers with Northern? 1st of April 2023 to the 11th. Average daily cancellations 140. And in 12th of November 2023 to the 3rd of February 2024, average daily cancellations 170 cancellations a day. That is just absolutely insane. Like, what is the point of them even having a schedule if you're not even going to keep to it? I'm going to speak a bit as someone who lives in London, just outside London per se. Now, it is understandable when the odd train can get cancelled or delayed, because that is understandable. And there's always mitigations of things that cause problems for train services, yeah? But we're talking about these numbers here on a daily basis here. We're not talking one or two. Like, sometimes you can get 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever down here. But for up for north here, we're talking like 13, 31, 20, 34, 140. Like, this is outrageous. This is absolutely outrageous. And I feel like nobody's talking about this, or nobody wants to do anything about this. It just feels like the government are just kind of like putting their thumbs in their ear and just sticking their heads in the sand and whatnot, pretending like nothing is wrong, our trains are fine, you're all just being hokey pokey about it. That's kind of what the impression that I'm getting here. Like, because these numbers are outrageous. And they've been going on and this is, and I'm sure people in the comment section down below will tell me that this has been going on for ages and nobody's doing anything about it. Meanwhile, ScotRail also saw an increase in cancellations from 54 a day between April and November to 67 a day between November and February. Oh my god. Right, Scots, let me know about ScotRail in the comment section down below for those who watch. Because it's not my place to comment on Scottish Rail. Rail bosses have blamed a combination of stormy weather, strike action and a lack of staff for the poor services during the winter months, and admitted performance has not been as good as it should be. Now, the strike action is obviously one you can blame. Strike action is one you can definitely heap blame on the government because of they're not coordinating with talking to unions when it comes about pay, terms and conditions and whatnot. So that's one thing there you can say. So I wouldn't entirely blame the strike actions on the so that is a factor. Stormy weather. Well, we're the UK. We get a lot of wind and rain. If you didn't know already. There should be mitigations, and we should be having we should be having action plans to deal with stormy winds and weathers to protect our rail lines from these. Why have we not protected our railways from these weathers? We know we have these weathers every goddamn year. We know this. Why are we still suffering our railways because of this? And you can apply the same concept to many houses and homes that have consistently suffered this as well. Why are we not taking action on these? Again, answers in the comments down below, please. Lack of staff. Now, obviously, some staff obviously can, it's understandable that the odd staff can end up being sick and whatnot. That does happen. But why are we having a lack of staff? Is it because the pay is poor? Is that tied into strike action there? I think that might be playing a part of that, really, in terms of lack of staff. Meanwhile, industry insiders have warned a backlog in track repairs is putting safety at risk, and that staff fear a major incident on the railway in the next 2 years. Oh, God. So we need to have a railway crash with hundreds of people die for people to wake up that something needs to be done about our railway industry. Is that where we're going down now? God, I really hope not. I really, really hope not. A drop-off in orders of new rolling stones also mean passengers could still be riding outdated trains built in the 90s into the next decade, with experts estimating more than 2,000 trains, around 1 in 6 a total across the country, could be 35 years old by 2030. It comes as industry continues to deal with spending constraints imposed by the government after it received £16 billion in subsidies when passenger numbers collapsed during the pandemic. According to reports which have not been disputed by the Department of Transport, railway companies were told to cut costs by 10% in 2022. There was little mention of public transport investment in Chancellor Jeremy Hunt's budget on Wednesday, and campaigners fear rail users are being driven away in the long term by poor experience. So they're saying here that so the Irish saying here, according to their reports, is that there's been a severe lack of investment in the rail industry, which is what's causing it. Are we sure it's not just? Are we sure it's that, and it's not just private companies not managing their budgets, not investing more? Are we sure that's not the case? I don't think it's right to fully blame the government for what's happening with our railways. I do think these companies need to take blame as well. I do think it's a combination of both, guys. Whilst rail fare went up by 4.9% on Sunday, Mr Hunt announced the fuel duty would be frozen for the 14th year in a row. Charity, the campaign for better transport, said the Chancellor missed out on the chance to gain £4.2 billion in revenue. Selvina Barrett, Director of Policy and Campaign, has told the iRail passengers are expected to pay more for getting less. We have cancellations, we have delays, issues on some services more than others. We don't think rail passengers are getting a fair deal. No, we're not getting a fair deal. I don't think anybody else needs to... I don't think anyone here is going to argue that we're not getting a fair deal. I don't think we've been getting a fair deal for a bloody long time here. Especially when we're trying to encourage more people to travel by subsistence means. We're saying it's the wrong way round. Rail fare should be frozen, not fuel duty. It's a completely false narrative. We've done some polling on 3/4 of drivers who would like to have more options than to drive. The money which they have from fuel duty could also be used to triple bus services, freeze rail fares. It could also do so much more to prioritise public transport. Investment in rail capacity is absolutely imperative. The government cut HS2, which was the big project to unlock capacity. Yeah. I still I understand the cost behind HS2, and I understand that a lot of my taxpayer money was scammed allegedly within HS High Speed Rail 2, and I get that premise as well. But I still think HS2 should have still pressed on because of the long-term investment it would do for the economy, creating jobs and prosperity within the north. So I still think it should never have been that way. Fuel duty since 2011, when the freeze was introduced, could have paid for HS2 twice over. It's completely mind-boggling. Unions also claim a lack of investment in railway infrastructure is putting passengers at risk. Network Rail has seen around £1.2 billion cut from its budget for the next 5-year cycle, and the RMT union says 90% of its members believe a major railway incident is likely to occur in the next 2 years. Maintenance is being prioritised, but it still goes into backlog. Faults are left for days and weeks, sometimes, one worker told an RMT survey. Another said not enough staffers are even for the minimum safety maintenance work, using contractors that are not fully qualified for the job. There are concerns about the lack of orders for the new Rolling Stones, putting thousands of jobs at factories such as Alstom in Derby, which employs 2,000 people at risk. Another job place that could end up being gone. Another one. Yeah, remember that. 2,000 jobs could be at risk. Yeah, don't be surprised if that ends up going, because of the direction things are going right now. David Clark, Technical Director at the Railway Institute Association, told MPs in December that at least 2,600 train vehicles will be 35 years old by 2030, but virtually no new orders are on the books. Figures show 9 rail operators across the UK, including Cross Country, C2C, Northern and South Western Railway, currently have fleets with an average age of more than 20 years. Mr Clark added that the industry needs to break the cycle, if only replacing trains when they are pretty much life expired. And there's a story here of Harry Tyler, who just wants to get to work on time as well. Harry Tyler, who works in public affairs, commutes from his home in Shrewsbury to London or Newcastle at least twice a week. He said in the last year there has rarely been a single day when he hasn't had a problem getting the train. It's just a horrendous service. How can you be a serious country if you can't get the trains to run on time? Mr Taylor, 38, told the Eye. It always says due to a lack of staffing or drivers, it's just a nightmare. I'd be lucky if I get a week. If there isn't a problem. The fares rising and rising, and services is getting worse and worse. Mr Taylor said the Averti service to London is one of the most frequent disrupted. He often finds that it's either cancelled or stops at Wolverhampton, requiring him to get off and change. It means he misses putting his children to bed and has to spend more money on meals and drinks if he's delayed. Although Mr Taylor said he finds it straightforward to get a reimbursement for his fare, he's still out of pocket and cannot be compensated for the stress he experiences. I don't want a refund, I just want to be able to get to work on time, he added. Yeah, that's the thing. Like people, the reimbursement stuff really does help people in terms of finances, or in terms of financial cost of that rail fare and getting to and from and back. But people don't want that hassle. People don't want the hassle of going through it. They want to be able to get to where they're going and not have to deal with that. People have enough stuff going on their plates as it is in their lives, and they don't want to do that. I'm glad that we have reimbursements, for people, for the rail service, but people should, and there are occasions where, like I said, there are occasions where there should be, but it should not have to be all the goddamn time. People would rather just the trains working and operating in all seriousness rather than this. When the pandemic hit in spring 2020, punctuality and reliability hit record heights as very few trains were running on the network. However, this quickly deteriorated as trains returned from a high of 86% of trains on time at the start of 2020 to 78% in 2021, 72% in 2022 and 68% in 2023. Meanwhile, cancellations hit their highest levels since the pandemic over the last 3 months of 2023, with 4.9% of trains axed, compared to 4.5% over the same period in 2022 and 4.1% in 2019. Although the flagship operator, the West Coast Main Line, remains one of the worst performers, cancelling 31 trains a day on average compared with 13 per day earlier in 2023. Figures slumped across the board, however, as cancellations at Northern increased from 140 days to 170, across country from 22 to 34, and TPE from 19 to 20. According to the Office of Rail and Road, the ORR, there were at least 15 days in this period which were severely disruptive for passengers, meaning that at least 5% of services were axed. A rail delivery group spokesperson said this past year has been really challenging. Yeah, has been a bit challenging. You don't say. You don't say. There's been a series of severe weather events, including industrial action and train crew availability, all contributing to difficult times for customers. Performances on the railways has not been as good as it should be, and we want to provide a better service for our customers. The rail industry is working hard to make trains more reliable, and we're recruiting more and training new staff to improve resilience. I feel like this is rinse and repeat. I feel like I'm rinsing and repeating this stuff. When they say we want to improve the services, we want to make things better and all that. You know this is rinse and repeat stuff, guys. I know. When there is a delay to trains, we're meeting the changing needs of our customers by raising awareness of delay we pay to make it easier for them to claim the compensation they're entitled to. But my point is that they should not have to do that. There are cases where there are unavoidable delays, but it should not have to come to this all the goddamn time. A spokesperson for Cross County says, as was the case for upper train operators, continued industrial action and the challenges of adverse weather meant the train performance over the winter period was not delivered as the service expected by Cross County customers. So, it's not our fault that we have really bad weather here and people are on strike because the government won't listen, won't give them a fair wage, yada yada yada. It's them that comes across to me as holding up their hands saying, nothing to do with us. Our renewed focus on minimising cancellations within our control is already showing green shoots of growth. Our current rate of cancellation is significantly improved compared to the last figures published. We look forward to continuing this work on the benefit of our customers across the country. Chris Jackson, Managing Director of TransPennine Express, said, delivering a stable and reliable service for customers is our number one priority, and we're doing everything we can to make it happen. Since the introduction of a new timetable in December, we've seen a significant improvement in reliability and cancellation levels. Excuse me. Although recent industrial action has affected programs, and I apologise for the impact this has had on our customers. Spokesperson for Northern said, our performance in November and December of 2023 was not up to scratch, and for that we are sorry. In January and February 2024, we've seen a much improved position, with cancellations now at around a third of what they were in December. As well as significant weather events in recent months, we continue to manage high levels of staff sickness and a reduction in train crew availability on Sundays, which remain to voluntary working days across the rail industry, in addition to the ongoing industrial relations issues and have their own impact. We are working hard with our colleagues and other train operators to provide services reliabilities to the customers. An Averny West Coast spokesperson said, during these periods we're experiencing a shortage of train crews and historic leave agreements, elevated sickness levels and ongoing industrial disputes. As with all operators, we also issues during this time of infrastructure and weather-related challenges on the network, meaning we've had to cancel an increased number of services. This has had a bearing on our previous improved levels of performance. We would like to apologise to our customers who were affected by this disruption. A DFT spokesperson said this period was heavily impacted by severe storms and as industrial action. However, we continue to hold operators to account for performance issues that are within our control. Since 2010, the government has invested over £100 billion on operating, maintaining and improving the rail network, with even more to come from the plan to reallocate HS2 as part of our Network North Transport Plan. Yeah, the Network North Transport Plan, guys. I know I apologise for this video for being a long one, guys, but there's a lot there to obviously to unravel. But it has been a while since I've really had a deep discussion about the rail network, and I'm someone who passionately really does. I do love trains. I'm very passionate about trains. I like taking the trains, going to places via train routes, and it's something that I think is really, really good. I generally believe trains are great things to have in your country if you have them. I think they're really, really cool. That's just a preference of me. But the fact that we have such an abysmal service, and we've had an abysmal service for a long time, a long time, guys, it's just not good enough. From these companies and from governments, past governments as well. And I just feel like, that sometimes they're just talking into an echo chamber when they're saying they're going to improve things. The things, the complaints about the severe weather, like I've already said, it's just like British weather already. Like, what are you doing to stop it? And it just feels like they're holding up their hands saying, there's only so much we can do. So what do you guys think? What do you make of the rail industry? What do you make of Britain's railway from England to Scotland to Wales? What do you guys make of it overall? Where you are located? What needs to be done? Is it a case that putting it back into a state's hands will fix the problems? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.